Episode 5 of Legend of Korra, titled Peacekeepers. This episode I thought was pretty well done. I thought it was really funny. And even though it had some, pretty serious drama elements with, Korra trying to figure out, how can she help her people, it seemed like most of the drama was kind of overshadowed by, Korra and Mako just, arguing with each other about nothing really. They were just arguing about the situation. Korra still kind of has the same attitude that she's had with Mako like the entire season, which has only been a few episodes, and they're already broken up because she's just like mad at him, and he's just trying to figure out how to help her, but he's just like not the person to do it, and she just expects him to have all the answers, and it seemed like she was kind of over that at a point, and then once there was another problem, and she like flat out found out her uncle was a bad guy, it just ramped right back up because they had a problem and he didn't have the answers to it, and she kind of expects him to, and he's trying to look at every situation, which makes sense, not only because he's not the pivotal role in this civil war like Korra is, but also he's a cop, so it stands to reason that he would take more of an objective look at everything and try to say, we can look here, we can look there, and with him being the one person who saw the firebenders blow up the building during the rally, it just like pushes him even more into that objective role where it's like, I have to look at the whole situation and not just see, that my girlfriend needs me to support her. So, that leads to them breaking up, of course, because, he ratted her out when she went to General Iroh, and it just it led to them breaking up, and they had their little spat at the end. Like, I thought she went to his house when she kicked the door open, but it's just like, nope, we'll just do this in front of everybody. So that was interesting. And then she like knocks the desk over, and when she leaves, when Lin comes in, who fortunately we do get in this episode, which we kind of have to because they're in the city. When she says the line like, you got off easy, you should have seen Air Temple Island, when Tenzin broke up with me. I thought that was a really funny line. And just having, Lin in the episode was really cool. She's the first thing we see in the episode, once we get past, the recap for the other episodes, it's Lin, and it's her turning around to look at everyone else. So it was kind of cool that they did that, where it's like, we're just gonna put it out there. Here's Lin. You want to see her? Here she is. So they gave us to her, or gave her to us. I mean, in the very first scene of the actual episode. So that was cool. She didn't do any fighting, because there wasn't much fighting to, go on until the end of this episode. But she was in it, and she did have some funny moments. It seemed like there were a lot of little stories going on in this, like Korra had like two separate stories, her trying to figure out the Civil War and her dealing with Mako. And then we had Bolin and him trying to figure out like his place once everyone gets to Republic City, and they're like, okay, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and everyone has a mission except him. And then Barrett kind of takes him under his wing, and he's trying to make him a movie star, which I thought was really funny. And when everyone supports him when he goes to the tournament, I thought that was really funny too. And they do the little interview, and everyone's like cheering, and then he gets like really boring and serious, and then he just says, like, I love Republic City, or how about these fans? And that was really funny just to see him, because he has, he's the funny character. And when they're watching the footage of the Northern Water Tribe invading the Southern Water Tribe, and they show Deska, when she like pulls her hood down and he screams, that was one of my favorite parts of the episode, because it was just so silly. And he's just like, he's yelling, then he's like, I keep doing that because he's freaked out. And I think I said Deska, but her name's Desna, or I can't even remember now because I'm stupid. But she was really good in this episode too. And like when we first see her, she's in the wedding outfit, and like she still has the makeup running, which she left like the whole episode. Like she changed back to a regular outfit in the end, and yet she still like left her makeup just like runny. So I thought that was really funny too. And we actually got more than like one line out of her. It seemed like it lasted more than one sentence to me. And also her brother said a lot more than he ever says. I think this is the second time he said anything. Like the other episode, he talked and then he laughed and that was about it. But at the end of the episode, which I really enjoyed, they have a cool little fight where they chase Korra down, and I always love how they do the whole skating thing where they kind of go back and forth. I always thought that looked really cool, and we actually got to see them fight against Korra, and they kind of mess her up a little bit, but then of course she's the Avatar, so she has all these powers, and like they're sliding around on the water, and she does like the cool water tornado, and it just looked really sweet. Like it was a nice little action scene, and they're just the only three characters out in the middle of the water. And then this giant spirit comes up that looks like Arachnai from Mass Effect. And sorry if you don't know what that is, you can Google it. But it comes and it basically just swallows Korra, and they just like leave. So I'm excited to see where things go. But the only thing about that whole scene that disappointed me is the fact that that's going to slow us down from getting to see Zuko and his daughter, because like I mentioned before, we got to see Iroh, and that was really cool. It's always cool to have him because he's obviously played by Dante Bosco, who was Zuko, and it was cool to see him. And then he flat out says, why don't you go see my mom and my grandfather, because they've always been friends of the Avatar. And that's exactly what Korra does. She just like goes off, and I was thinking, I figured it would end before we got to see it, but when with her getting swallowed, it makes me think, we're gonna have to wait 2 or maybe even 3 more weeks before we get to actually see, old Zuko and his daughter. And we probably won't even see Zuko because, before the series even started up, it was said that Zuko, once he basically let his daughter become the Fire Lord, Zuko kind of just, he's like an old guy just traveling around the world. So he might not even be, there once she goes to see the Fire Lord, but we'd at least get to see Zuko's daughter, which would be pretty cool. And maybe a picture of old Zuko, stuff like that. Something else that was really quick, and I don't know how many people caught it, but Sokka's statue is in this episode. When the building's blowing up, it's a big statue of Sokka. They don't really show it too much, but it's kind of hard to miss the fact that there's a boomerang in his hand. And if that's not Sokka, then I don't know who that could have possibly been. But we get the Sokka statue, so that was cool. Another little side story, which I guess would be the last one, was Tenzin and Milo. And I thought, how this episode went, it kind of makes me think the next episode or next 2 or whatever will focus on his oldest daughter, because it seems like he's just having these random moments where he's just with one kid at a time, just so we can get, development out of them. And I really like that because it doesn't seem, stupid or anything like that, because, if it was all, the Avatar and what she's doing and things like that, then we'd kind of miss out on Tenzin, and we would miss out on all the character development of his family, because we don't really get to know his kids that much. And he already had his development with his brother and sister, and we'll hopefully get more of that too. But it's cool to see that they're doing, as a side story, it's character development, and it's really well done character development to me. It's with his son, him being the funny kid, or I guess the funniest, because they're all pretty silly in their own way. It was really cool to see that. And he's training a lemur, and at the end when he trains like all the lemurs at once, it was kind of funny when Tenzin says, I created a monster, and he just tells his son to go play around instead of being really serious. But I thought it was a pretty funny episode. It wasn't as serious as I thought, or at least Tenzin's side story. I thought it would be a little bit more serious based on how it started, because he was, constantly trying to say, be demanding and be stern. But it wasn't him, like, being mean to his son and then turning around at the end because he realized he was being, like, a really tough father for no reason. So I kind of like that it didn't play out that way. And it was just him helping his son, and then realizing, like, I might have pushed it a little too far, even though I didn't, mess with my son or anything. I just pushed it too far, and now he's too in control. So I thought that was really cool, and I'm definitely excited to see how things go with his oldest daughter, because we already got the little hint where she's obviously going to be important in this season, but they haven't gotten to it yet, and that's probably because she'll be the most important. So it'll span basically the rest of the season once her connection to the spirit world is actually introduced. And something else we also got that was pretty cool was Korra, when she was fighting the spirit, she almost had it, she almost had the moves down packed, and she almost turned it, basically turned it good. And I thought she was gonna do it, and right when it's about to happen, it kind of just breaks free, and that's when, of course, it swallows her. But it was really cool to see that she did pay attention. The couple of times she actually saw the spirits calm down, and of course she tried it in the season premiere, and it didn't work then either. But I guess you know, with it being a fairly basic move, it was kind of simple for her to get it down. But there's obviously something else to it, that makes it complete, and she just doesn't have that down yet. And we also learned that she is still required to open up a portal in the Northern Water Tribe, and for some reason, her uncle lied to her about it, and that was probably because he didn't want to. He wanted to seem like he was just all powerful at that time, because it makes sense if you're the bad guy, you kind of want to seem like you have everything already planned out. So that's probably why he lied to her. But it's interesting to see, he tells his kid, I need her alive because she's the only one who can open up the Northern Temple. So it was cool to see that, and I'm, excited and curious to see how he plans to, have that work out. And if she isn't able to do it, and obviously one portal's open and the other's still closed, which we see in this episode, it does show that the spirits, are still out, and they're still going to be, on a rampage pretty much. And apparently it'll be, land, sea, and I'll assume, air sometime in the future. But this episode I thought was very good. It had a lot of different stories that all seemed to nicely fit together. And I guess that's because there wasn't much that any one character could do. Like Korra couldn't exactly solve all her problems. So they chopped everything up, very nicely. We had Bolin's funny story, Tenzin's nice story. It was like sort of funny, but it was also kind of just lighthearted and nice, sort of family dynamic. Then we had, Korra's drama with all of her people, and then Korra's drama as far as her relationship, which once again, it wasn't like that big of a deal, but it did surprise me that, it was like the whole thing of season one was how, Mako broke up with Asami, who in this episode we also get to see her again, and she's gonna be helping out with Korra, so that was cool. And we got just to get to see her. She didn't have much, but we did get to see her. But Mako breaking up with her and then ending up with Korra at the end of season one, and then the season premiere this season, we get the whole cap where it's 3 or 6 months or something like that. And so it's like that whole time we didn't see, they had like a perfect relationship, and right into season two they're just having troubles, and now episode 5 they're already separated. So it did surprise me, but it's like, man, they'll probably end up back together, or they'll just be nice friends again like Mako and Asami are. So however that works out, it's gonna work out. But I'm curious about everything else for sure. Mostly, how Korra's gonna escape the spirit, and who's gonna help her if it's not, just her by herself. Because I'd be really interested to see if she gets help, from the spirit world. And next episode is our first, spirit world based episode, because there's obviously a lot with spirits coming to the real world. So comment below, let me know what you thought of the episode, all the funny moments, the all the twists, the ending for sure. And how long do you think we have to wait before we finally get to see old Zuko? Thanks for watching.